www.xzoneradio.com. The X Zone radio and TV show is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone radio and TV show or in any manner endorsed by Rob McConnell, Ram Media Company, their advertisers, Talkstar Radio Network, its affiliated stations, or their employees.
Where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
The road is long with a many a winding tongue that leads us to who knows where, who knows where. But I'm strong enough to carry him. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. So on we
Welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network and our growing family of broadcast affiliates across Canada, the United States, Central America, the Caribbean, South America, the Pacific Rim, 20 Asian countries, and Europe. If you'd like to give us a call, our toll-free number is 1-877-528-8255. That's toll-free throughout the U.S., Canada, Alaska, and Hawaii at 1-877-528-8255. My email address is xzone@talkstarradio.com. And our websites, xzoneradio.com and xzonetv.com, where you can watch, listen, and chat with the X Zone Nation. I'd like to welcome all our affiliates who are now joining us on the Talkstar Radio Network. My producer is Miss Melanie at Master Control in Titusville, Florida. And our chat room moderator is Rob from Scarborough. Guys, nice working with you again. X Zone Nation, this hour we are going to be speaking with Dr. Lynne Kitei. Now, Dr. Lynne is an internationally acclaimed physician and health educator, leading the cutting-edge era of early disease detection and prevention as chief clinical consultant at the world-renowned Arizona Heart Institute's Imaging Prevention Wellness Center in Phoenix, Arizona. Dr. Lynne received her Bachelor's of Science degree in secondary science education from Temple University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Before her medical training, Dr. Lynne appeared in over 40 featured and starring roles in professional musical comedies, including Alice in Wonderland with Sherman Hemsley, Oklahoma with Gordon McRae, and Guys and Dolls starring Betty Grable. She also played the role of Florence, Arizona in the 20th century box office hit Raising Arizona, starring Nicolas Cage, Holly Hunter, Frances McDormand, and John Goodman. Dr. Lynne has been called the woman pioneer of medical communications and TV guide after creating and producing innovative TV news health reports for NBC in Philadelphia in 1976. Now, since that time, Dr. Lynne has dedicated over 25 years of global public awareness, wellness, and health education. She has appeared as the resident health reporter for NBC affiliates in Philadelphia and Phoenix, and has been featured on USA Cable, Fox TV News, and MSNBC. Dr. Lynne's innovative and groundbreaking work has been featured in publications such as the Philadelphia Inquirer, TV Guide magazine, Runner magazine, Phoenix magazine, and the Physicians Management magazine. And she's also been recognized in the who's who of American women and was chosen as Woman of the Year in Pennsylvania. Now we're going to get to the crux of tonight's interview with our good friend Dr. Lynne. In 1996, Dr. Lynne was the first witness to the phenomenon known as the Phoenix Lights. She's considered the key witness to the still unexplained mass UFO sighting that took place throughout Arizona on March 13th, 1997. After 7 years of investigative work, Dr. Lynne is coming forward for the first time with startling photographic evidence and personal anecdotes relating to the Phoenix Lights and more. Dr. Lynne has discovered that we are not alone, and she's ready to make you a believer. When I come back in 2 minutes, Dr. Lynne Kitei is my special guest. We're talking about the Phoenix Lights, and if you'd like to give us a call, 1-877-528-8255. That's toll-free throughout the U.S., Canada, Alaska, and Hawaii at 1-877-528-8255. My name is Rob McConnell, and this is the X-Zone on the Talkstar Radio Network. I'll be back in 2 minutes with Dr. Lynne Kitei talking about the Phoenix Lights right here on Talkstar.
The road is long with a many a sounds funny, but I just can't stand the pain. Girl, I'm leaving you tomorrow. Seems to me, girl, you know I've done all I can. You see a big stone and I borrow. Yeah.
Dr. Lynne Kitei is our very special guest. We're going to be talking about the Phoenix Lights tonight here on the X-Zone. We're going to go back in time to March the 13th, 1997. And Dr. Kitei, how are you, Dr. Lynne? Welcome back.
So glad to be a part of your show, and I really appreciate it. It's been a while, and talk about a long and winding road.
It sure has been.
You know, amazing since 05. I think that's the last time we talked. I had just come forward in 04 after you mentioned 7 years of anonymity,
right.
And really my world has turned upside down since then.
Well,
we have a wonderful, very popular book and a internationally award-winning documentary now.
And my hat is off to you, Dr. Kitei. And you know, Dr. Lynne, I said before you came on the air, just before we went to the news, that I used to have my doubts about the Phoenix Lights. In fact, I thought it was a bunch of bunk. However, with what happened in Stevensville and the similarity, there's, all
over the world.
I'm eating crow. I'm eating crow here.
Well, I have to tell you, Rob, when I first came forward, and that was one of the reasons I did come forward, because there was so much misinformation and disinformation flying around for so many years. I had a 750-page journal. I don't know if you know that. I pushed my entire medical professional life aside for 4 years to try to find a logical source and meaning for what I witnessed and photographed. I knew nothing about this topic. My husband, who's also a physician, and I had a very close sighting 2 years before the mass sighting. Those pictures, and I got pictures of it. Didn't even know who to show them to. They're up on the website, thephoenixlights.net, on the photo page, and I continued to take photographs. 2 months before the mass sighting, I caught the same phenomena in the same location head-on, 6 pictures in a row turning into a V. And actually it was so unnerving having not had an explanation for the sighting, we close sighting, and I'm talking 100 yards from our home.
Wow.
In 95. That I called around, found air traffic controllers at Sky Harbor International Airport. They saw the same thing at the same time and shared with me that it did not show up on radar. It was in Class D, restricted airspace, and when they picked up binoculars to look, and we're talking professional sky watchers here, they saw 6 points of light that seemed to be attached to something, but they couldn't quite see what it was attached to, which you would hear over and over again 2 months later during the mass sighting. And I continued to take photographs up into and including the mass sighting night. And again, I had no interest or knowledge in this. It was just so extraordinary that as a scientist, I felt compelled to document these things on film. I caught the 3 points of light like a giant triangle, and for anybody out there who's not familiar with the Phoenix Lights event, what has been called the Phoenix Lights event, it actually was an event throughout the entire state of Arizona on March 13th, 1997, when thousands of people were looking skyward purposely for a glimpse of the Hale-Bopp comet, which was very clear in the northwest sky. They also saw this 1 to 2 mile wide formation of either lights that seemed to be attached to something, and some people saw a V-shape, boomerang shape, arrowhead shape, or they actually saw a craft traverse right over their heads about 30 miles an hour, totally silent. Some people did see it take off at a tremendous speed, incredible technology to be sure. And this was throughout the state for many, many hours. Now, what became to be known as two separate events is the media and whoever thought up that scenario, because actually this year, and I do go into it in the book, if anybody reads the book, I ended up with a 750-page journal.
My goodness.
Of incredible data and compelling data, not just about the Phoenix Lights, but as you mentioned, this has been happening since human documentation began, and I found very similar sightings such as the Lubbock Lights and Hudson Valley Lights in the UK and Belgium, and through the last few decades that just blew me away. I had no idea this was happening worldwide, and other countries were much more open to these things as being unearthly. But at any rate, here I finally, because as you mentioned, I have been an educator for 30 years of the reality of vital health issues, but when this fell in my lap, I really felt compelled to share the reality of this vital issue, and I squeezed that 750 pages down to 220, and then decided to come forward in 2004. As far as the mass sighting goes, we're talking over 10,000 people at least witnessed these phenomena, and it's still affecting people to today.
Really?
I mean, there's so much to talk about.
How is it affecting people, Doctor?
Well, actually, it's very interesting when you look at the real-time transformation. One of the things I found in my inquiry, just to step forward a little bit, and then I'll come back to that, is that a number of witnesses shared with me that they had near-death experiences as children that was reawakened by the Phoenix Lights event. And I found that really curious because I did too. And I go into it in depth in the book, which is a fascinating story in and of itself that I didn't want to share, and I kept it, very close inside for decades. But the point was that really got to me because I thought, geez, could there be a connection between all unexplained phenomena, be it near-death experience, out-of-body experience, unexplained aerial phenomena, that have a mystical light associated with the experience? And lo and behold, when I started looking again, I really did a meticulous investigation of all this, and I found studies, very, very scientific studies being done at university level, the Omega Project at the University of Connecticut by Dr. Kenneth Ring and a number of others that really found a very substantial connection, not only in the experience, but what really got to me was the after effect, the positive transformation that took place within an individual. I called all unexplained phenomena up because it's such a positive thing, an enlightenment and awakening that we're not alone in the universe, that we're connected to the universe and to the earth and to each other so much more intimately than we'd ever imagined. But going back to the mass sighting itself, in real time, this was happening too. Because about 6 months before the mass sighting, the movie Independence Day had come out.
Yes.
And one of the things we talk about in the documentary, which is the reality of it. We've been so ingrained by Hollywood and by just the media that all this is frightening and scary and a threat. Well, I have to tell you, it's 12 years on Friday. There has not been one report, not one, of threat, harm, or abduction associated with the Phoenix Lights, and that's very telling in and of itself. But anyway, as this giant, some people said it was bigger than 1 mile, almost 2 miles, was coming towards many of the youth, they got really scared initially and started jumping up and down, Independence Day, Independence Day.
Oh, gosh.
But as it got closer, not only children, but adults as well, had a calmness take over them. felt a connection
Really?
to the phenomena. Oh, yes. And if you ask witnesses over and over again, in fact, they will tell you, families will tell you that we're together, that the kids that were initially scared because of Independence Day, as it got closer and was going right over them, they wanted to run after it and get in the car and follow it. The transformation in real time was just so profound. And certainly since that time, it has really come full circle here. I mean, many places, and Phoenix really is a model for elsewhere, because the media themselves, initially, of course, some of them were ridiculing and snickering and very skeptical, as I was. But my book is called The Phoenix Lights of Skeptics Discovery, that we are not alone. They would make fun of it, have really come full circle. That is not happening anymore. And that was one of the reasons, as I said at the top, that I had to come forward, because there was so much more information that needed to be told. And the official explanation and accepted explanation in 2004, when I first came forward, was that it was merely military illumination flares.
Yeah.
And as we know, and now, I have to tell you, Rob, it's such a good time that we talk, because we are now just revealing, for the 12th anniversary, 12 years of investigative work. Michael Tanner, one of the chief investigators, Bill Hamilton, Frances Barwood, Councilwoman Frances Barwood, the MUFON, as well as the UFO Reporting Center, are all joining forces to really compile what really happened here 12 years ago throughout the state for many hours. It really was a parade. There were about a dozen things that were happening throughout the state, and we're getting it together. We have just a little sampling of it on our website homepage, thephoenixlights.net. It's called a geospatial animation, which is really going to show in real, with Google Earth, how the different formations, the different crafts that went throughout the state. And we're just starting to get that on the Phoenix Lights Network.
Well, you certainly have teamed up with some of the best in the business. Peter Davenport at the National UFO Reporting Center, and of course the good people at MUFON. Mm-hmm. Bill Hamilton. Well, you
can't do this alone.
No, you can't.
It really, I've said that right along. It takes a team effort to really make this happen, and everybody is just real. It's such a collaboration, and it's really so rewarding to see everybody contributing and getting something together that has been needed for 12 years. And we're finally doing it. We're finally sitting down, and now that we have the technology with Google Earth, we're really getting it together to show people what truly happened here 12 years ago.
Is there a connection between the Phoenix Lights and the Stephenville sighting?
Very good point. I have to say from the get-go, very similar. In fact, I just did a presentation at the UFO International Congress a couple weekends ago in Laughlin, Nevada. People from all over the world, including from Texas, and part of my presentation was showing the similarities between the Phoenix Lights and other sightings. And someone had actually taken a picture that I found of 3 orbs, which was very prevalent in the Phoenix Lights sighting. Not only were there crafts, but there were also orbs, and I call them an orb because the light does not extend outside the edge. It's like a ball of energy, like a pulsating, swirling ball of energy that people were seeing throughout the state. Actually, some people saw these orbs detach from the main object and then go out in the environment and then redock with it. Like I said, there's so much to this story.
All right, Dr. Lynne, you and I have to take a commercial break. We'll be right back. Dr. Lynne Kitei is our very special guest. www.thephoenixlights.net. That's www.thephoenixlights.net. Dr. Kitei and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as the X-Zone continues live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
You see a big stone and a bottle.
You're listening to Rob McConnell in the X-Zone on the Talkstar Radio Network. Visit us online at www.xzoneradio.com.
My name is Michael Kelsar, Canada's leading mentalist from Toronto, Ontario.
Hi, my name is Florida, and you're listening to my dad, Ron McConnell, on the X-Zone.
This is Psychic Dorothy from St. Catharines, and you're listening to Rob McConnell.
Hello, my name is Holly Reeves, an astrologer from Astro For You, and you're listening to Canada's #1 paranormal radio show, The X Zone, with Rob McConnell.
Welcome to The X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
By the time I get to Phoenix, she'll be rising. She'll find the note I left hanging on her door. She'll laugh when she reads the part that says I'm leaving. 'Cause I've left that girl so many times before.
Dr. Lynne Kitei is our very special guest. We're talking about the Phoenix Lights, that massive sighting that happened over the city of Phoenix, as well as throughout the state of Arizona on March the 13th, 1997. And Dr. Kitei, welcome back. Great having you with us. And Dr. Kitei's website is www.thephoenixlights.net. What was it that people were watching? Was it a ship from another planet? Was it an interdimensional ship? What, to the best of your knowledge, were those thousands of people actually witnessing, Doctor?
Good question, Rob. I don't know what it is, but I know that it is, and it's time we get this topic out in the open. We address it, we accept it, and study it so we can move forward, not only in our own evolution, but find out who's behind this, who's driving it. I have to say, when my husband and I had the closed sighting to our home, and we live mountainside in Paradise Valley, we have a panoramic view of the city skyline, and one wall of our bedroom is a window. So we're very familiar with what planes look like, and helicopters, and streetlights, and car lights, and flares, for that matter, which we see periodically. And these were so different, and when, just to describe it for you, if I can.
Sure, please do.
It's so different than anything you can imagine. I mean, my husband actually called me to the bedroom window, and we watched a little below us, actually, hovering 3 amber orbs in a pyramid formation. One was on top and 2 closely aligned underneath, about 50, 75 feet, over a private gated property. And it was just astonishing. We were mesmerized. The light was very different than any light I'd ever seen. It was a uniform amber color throughout. Each orb was really an oval shape on its side. I tried to take everything in mentally because it was just so unusual. And I knew if I didn't get a picture of it, no one was going to believe this. And there was no glare at all. They were very, very soothing and mesmerizing. And as I went to grab the camera, my husband calls me back. He says, "Get over here quick. One of them is disappearing." And as we watched, the top orb, without budging, it didn't budge from the other 2 closely aligned underneath, started to dim as if on a dimmer switch. And I have to say again, I had no knowledge or interest in this topic, but we have two young boys at the time. Now they're men. And we did watch Star Trek, and I was familiar with the Romulan cloaking device.
Yes.
So I really intently, that was the only thing that came into my mind, was this thing is cloaking. And it didn't move at all. It didn't waver or go off. It just started to dim, but felt as if it was still there, even though we didn't see it anymore. And when I went out on the balcony to shoot the 2 lower orbs, which is one of the pictures that I have on the website, it felt that there was something intelligent watching me. And I have to say that. It took me a long time to share that, but there was an eerie silence as if time had stopped. And going through my mind was, who are you? What are you? Do you know that I'm here? I'd love to meet you. It was very exciting to me. And the next thing I remember, the left bottom orb started to dissipate, and I quickly shot a picture of that. That was the last picture that I took.
Is
and
it
that's also on the website. And that picture really confirmed to me. I mean, I caught this thing disappearing, that something real did happen. But I didn't even know who to show it to. But I wondered for 2 years what this advanced technology was doing in a private gated community. And also it felt interdimensional.
Is it possible, Dr. Lynne, that you were being communicated with?
There was something going on, for sure, and I have to say that, and again, I hope people can pick up the book, because, when you look at the different, connect the dots, I guess, and I really try to be as skeptical as I can, a healthy skeptic with all of it, but there were too many coincidences. I mean, the fact that I did have a near-death experience, and I happened to in that experience, see 3 beings above the earth, in glowing white robes, which is very characteristic of a near-death experience, and it was a very, very profound experience as a child. And then to have the 3 orbs outside our window, and it just, I don't know. Is there a connection? Even my talk is called Phoenix in a New Light, Coincidence or Connection, because there continued to be many coincidences, particularly after the mass sighting, that you have to just stand back and say, whoa, is this coincidence?
What kind of coincidences, Dr. Lynne?
Oh, man.
That many?
Besides the fact that people that I would meet and circumstances that would just come before me that were just too amazing. I mean, just for one, okay. A few weeks before the mass sighting, when I had been taking pictures, again, for the 2 months before, and I have to say the video doesn't do it justice for anybody that looks at the video. They're much smaller, and they flicker, and they're white in the video. In real life, they're huge amber balls that I was looking at. I didn't know anybody. This is how close I was to the topic. A friend of a friend had a neighbor who had a friend who knew the past president of MUFON, Mutual UFO Network, which I had never heard of before. But I gave him a call, and I said, look, I had this picture from 95 that I'd love someone of credence to take a look at, and I was seeing these orbs, which he had not heard about, but there were people actually that took photographs and footage of the orbs for days before the mass sighting, like I was.
Right.
And he hooked me up with a field investigator for the following Wednesday. The field investigator calls me on Tuesday to say that he can't meet on Wednesday because the then state director of MUFON wanted to be there, and his mom had passed that Saturday, and the funeral was Wednesday morning. When else could we meet? And the only window of opportunity I had for another 2-3 weeks was Friday morning, the 14th, at 10 o'clock. Well, little did I know that the night before was the mass sighting.
Yeah.
And I walk in with video in hand from the mass sighting that very morning after the mass sighting. And he says to me, did you see the mass sighting last night? And I had no idea what he was talking about. And he says, hundreds if not thousands of people saw this massive craft and lights all over the state, and NBC was going to come to interview him in a few minutes. Well, I had done health reporting in the early 80s for NBC, and I didn't know what we were dealing with. Was it a hoax? Was it military? Whatever. But I wanted to help, and I said, look, I'm out of here. It's not about me. It's about the data. Just take a copy of the video and please share it with them. And it just so happened that my video ended up on every news station. A couple of other wonderful videos came forward that evening as well, and it really set me on a journey, boy, I'll tell you, of serendipity after that. We could go on for hours, but there were a lot of coincidences that happened throughout my travels.
Do you think that people were actually chosen to see this?
You know what? I say everyone was chosen to be here on Earth, and it's what we choose to do with our life that will determine our destiny. And, I could have just as easily have blown it off. My husband didn't want anything to do with it. He was too busy with his own, his own things. But for whatever reason, I just felt compelled to find out what was going on. And, it ended up that I really did a meticulous research, went down to the University of Arizona Optical Science Department, Consciousness Study Department, ASU, Arizona State University, Geology, Mathematics, Anthropology, and Astronomy departments, as well as the Brooks Institute of Photography, renowned in Santa Barbara and optical scientists all over the world, and no one could give me an answer as to what my data was. If anything, they were just fascinated. Plus, no one ever, I kept being told, had taken both 35 millimeter, which, by the way, is the best way to analyze these things, and footage, video, from the same vantage point prior to, during, and after an historic mass sighting. What do you do with that? I mean, I really didn't want to come forward, Rob. I wanted to stay anonymous, but it got to the point where I had to do a lot of soul searching, and as an educator, how could I, in good conscience, not share what I had accumulated? And I'm not trying to convince anyone. I'm just sharing the data, and people can decide for themselves. But there is so much compelling and important information if you look at it. So since I came forward, I haven't looked back. In fact, you mentioned I went back to work as a chief clinical consultant of the Wellness and Imaging Center at the Arizona Heart Institute, and had to leave the job, which I loved, to finish the documentary, and I haven't stopped since.
Dr. Lynne, we hear so many stories of victimizing alien abductions, but you believe that these beings only mean to befriend us and ultimately to help us. How can we learn from the contact that we have already made with them?
You know what, Rob? There's good and bad in everything, and I can't say that there is only good or there is only bad. All I can say is in 12 years, we haven't had one report of threat, harm, or abduction associated with the Phoenix Lights. And obviously something, wherever they're from, whether it's spirit world or interdimensional, interstellar, time travelers, whatever, are trying to not only wake us up to their presence, and it's not just here, it's worldwide, but they're also giving us a really important message for those who listen, and that's to wake up to what we're doing to ourselves and to the planet before it's too late. And that's something that happens with all unexplained phenomena. People that experience near-death experience come back with that same message. Yeah. And when you really look at the data again, it speaks for itself. I had no idea that there were, and this is another coincidence, 6 months before the mass sighting, I had been invited to present my substance abuse program. I have a substance abuse and teen pregnancy and AIDS prevention education.
My Lord, you're a busy lady.
Curriculum. Well, I have a company that I started in '85 that have been distributing these worldwide discovery education, or distributing them now. But at any rate, that's why I felt so obliged to do this for this topic as well. But anyway, I was invited to share the substance abuse program at the Gila River Indian Reservation School. There's one schoolhouse, and it's in between South Mountain and the Estrella Mountain Range. Now, most of my pictures are right where the two mountain ranges intersect, and Estrella means star in Spanish. Well, little did I know until after the mass sighting when I went to them, and they really don't talk to outsiders, but I had befriended them because I had taught their school, and I said, did anybody see the Phoenix Lights? My pictures seem to indicate that they're showing up in that area.
Right.
And they started to giggle, and I said, is that funny? And they said, are you kidding? We've been looking up at them for centuries. We call them light beings, sky people.
Oh my gosh.
It's part of their culture. They believe that their spirit world coming to give them knowledge. They invite them, and they're not frightened of them. This has been happening for centuries. I had no idea.
And we're just catching on.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. This is something that has been around since human documentation started. I mean, there are passages in the Bible that describe things that now we could say are definitely UFOs and orbs and so forth.
For those people who want to invite these beings into their life, is there a special way that they can do that?
Actually, that's another good question, Rob, because if you are open to it, if you open your mind and your heart to the possibilities and just learn about it, you don't have to have an unexplained phenomena experience, an UP, I call them, experience to have this positive transformation, to be able to communicate. All you need to do is open your heart and your mind and learn about it. And it is a leap of faith. And it's just like, look, it took 17 centuries for human beings to realize with the advent of the microscope that there are zillions of microorganisms all around us, even in our bodies.
Yep.
And just in recent decades, we've discovered there's electromagnetic energy around every living cell. Well, just because we can't see these living organisms or electromagnetic energies or radio waves or whatever, it doesn't mean it's not real. We just don't have the technology yet to definitively define what these things are, but it doesn't mean they're not real. We may just be looking on the AM dial for an FM frequency.
As we humans do only too often. Dr. Kitei, please stand by. You and I have to take our final break for this hour. Exo Nation, Dr. Lynne Kitei is our very special guest. Her website is www.thephoenixlights.net. That's www.thephoenixlights.net. Still to come on tonight's show, I'm going to be speaking to Zach Barkhouse in the next hour. We're going to be talking to him about, you ready for this? Dead pet stories. All this and more as the X-Zone continues on the other side of this commercial break, right here live and around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
By the time I get to Phoenix, she'll be rising. She'll find the note I left hanging.
Lady love, your love is peaceful like the summer's breeze. My lady love, with love that's tender as a baby's touch, you give me all of the things that I need so much. You're my world, lady love.
Dr. Lynne Kitei is our very special guest this hour. Her website is www.thephoenixlights.net. That's www.thephoenixlights.net. We're talking about the mass sighting throughout the state of Arizona going back to March the 13th, 1997. And first of all, Dr. Lynne, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Congratulations on your new book and that marvelous documentary that you put together.
Oh, thank you so much. In fact, the book published by Hampton Roads and the documentary is now distributed by Vanguard Cinema worldwide. Really have a life of their own. We were talking about curriculum and transformation. Two of the people in the documentary, Dr. Rebecca Hardcastle, who was a Ph.D. in divinity, and Terry Mansfield, who was a first-hand witness of the craft right above her head when she was with a group of hospice workers, and she's also She's the CEO of the Arizona Department of Peace Campaign. She's a stellar example of the positive transformation. We have now joined forces as Phoenix Lights 3, not only to help raise awareness and to educate others on these phenomena, but we are diligently working on a curriculum. That's the next step for me, is a curriculum to get right in the classroom from middle school through university level. There is nothing. That actually was one of the reasons I did the documentary. I was invited to speak at a school after the book came out, and I had done a Barnes & Noble presentation. Some parents had seen me and invited me to a middle school, over 200 students in an auditorium. You could hear a pin drop. They were on the edge of their seats. They thirst for this knowledge, and I realized that there's really a chunk of history missing.
That's right.
From our history books. There is nothing in the history books about this topic at all. So we are now working with superintendents and principals and teachers to really get a comprehensive curriculum into the classroom as soon as we can.
Why do you think this topic has been tabooed throughout history?
Boy, that's another good question. I think that, as we mentioned, indigenous societies and other countries are much more open to these things being unearthly. Belgium came to the United States in the early 90s when they were having their similar sightings and asked, "Are you doing this?" And their sightings were very unique in that the military and the civilian and universities joined forces to try to discover and study these things. I think other countries are now also coming forward in record numbers, France and Belgium and Mexico and Brazil and Denmark just a couple months ago, and UK with thousands of UFO files. So I think that's changing. I think that because so many people are seeing these things, they are unexplainable. Now we have the technology with cell phones and so forth to document, and it's not just a story anymore that can be blown off. It really has to. It's really gotten into the mainstream more and more that something is happening in our skies, and certainly many people are waking up to the fact that we may not be alone in this universe.
Dr. Kitei, thank you very much for joining us, and I look forward to the next time when you and I meet here in the X Zone.
I certainly do, too. Thank you so much.
Good night, Doctor.
Good night.
Dr. Lynne Kitei, www.thephoenixlights.net. That's www.thephoenixlights.net. When I come back from the news at the top of the hour at 6.5 minutes past, we'll be joined by Zach Barkhouse. We're going to be talking about dead pet stories right here on the X Zone. After all, this is truly a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. We're coming to you live from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, on Talkstar.